Hello again, folks. This is Duncan at Free as an Eagle. I'm doing this little quick video just to show progress. We've been plywooding the floor frame, and Al was here earlier. We had started, and yesterday we'd finished the floor frame itself, and then today was the day to lay plywood on it. So Al left a little while ago. Now we have Austin here, but I wanted to do a little video before we had it all covered up, just to show how we have done this particular stage of the project. So as you can see, we've got plywood laid down. Austin's nailing it off, and the floor framing, it's been all laid out and marked on 16-inch centers. Oops, the hose just blew off. We're having a few technical difficulties today. Oh boy, it's been one of those days. It's like a Monday, even though it's Wednesday. It's a little hot, so that's today's excuse. So that's Austin over there trying to reattach that hose. You got to pull the collar back on it a little bit and then slip it over. It doesn't snap on like the ones Al's got.
Yeah.
So you've got to like pull back on the collar, then slip it onto the gun. Yeah, this has been one of these days. So we're almost done with the plywood. We've gotten the floor plywood down. You can see, I'll zoom in a little bit. So what we're doing is we're snapping lines on the plywood every 16 inches. So then when we lay it down in the floor joists, these joists, this isn't the best quality wood I've ever seen. So there's always a little bit of bowing and variations in the framing wood, so especially off a 24-foot length, which is the dimension that we're using here. So you've got to push these joists back and forth a little bit to line them upright so they're where they ought to be, being on center. So there's been marks made on the plywood with a T-square, which we have over on this pile. We've been just doing a lot of marking of plywood and using that T-square to mark lines across it, so when we lay it on here we know right where to nail. And we're using these 8-penny ring nails, which are good for use on plywood. They reach into the framing and give you a pretty good grab. These are galvanized. We don't really need to use galvanized, but we happen to have a ton of them. So anyway, that's plywood on the framing being nailed off by Austin. And then just to give it some extra protection, we decided to seal this. It's supposed to rain about 1/2 inch tonight. And a lot of times people will build things and the weather will, won't ruin them, but over time it would. But we didn't want to compromise the plywood because sometimes it'll absorb the water and bubble up or get funky. This is really good grade 3/4 inch fair plywood. I don't like OSB and all these kind of fake chipboard products. They don't hold up anywhere near as well. So this is true 3/4 inch 5-layer plywood, and we're laying it's a solid color stain. And Al was really lucky. He's done a lot of business with a lumberyard called LP Adams in Dalton, Mass. He's dealt with them for years, so he knows them well enough to get little favors. Well, he went in and explained we were just wanting to cover a floor deck with some sealer so it would protect it against the weather. And they just gave him 5 gallons of stain. He said, "Do you have any crap stain that you want to get rid of that's laying around?" And they're like, "Yeah, we got some mismatched colors that nobody wanted, or they misordered or whatever." And these were just laying around. They just handed them 5 gallons, probably $300 worth of stain for nothing. So that was very nice, because we don't care what color it is. It's going to be eventually covered by some type of hardwood flooring. So this makes the floor deck a little more weatherproof, and it'll keep water out of the basement too. That's been a minor issue if it rained a lot, because this basement doesn't have a floor drain in it yet. So, and it may never need one. So the water that got down there had to be pumped out. But so there you see it. We have a floor deck. The goal by the end of today is to have this plywood all down and have this completely nailed off and sealed with this sealer, and then it can rain all at once for a few days. Next week's 4th of July week, so we're not really going to get a lot of work done. I'm hoping to frame the deck on the far end with pressure treated wood, but that way this little floor deck will be nicely preserved till we get back to it. So in 2 weeks, the goal is to start on the actual A-frame part of it with the rafters. This, we were very careful to make sure the framing was good. The foundation guys did a very nice job. We measure across the diagonals. It's within 1/4 of an inch, which on rough framing is actually really good. and then that means this thing is pretty much a perfect rectangle, and when we go to build the rest of it, we will have a blessing of having everything lined up properly. We won't have things that are out of square and out of plumb. You know, they did a very nice job, so we're trying to follow that with a very nice job on the floor, and then this will be something that's pleasant to build off of. Oh, that hose is on the way out. We're gonna have to replace that. But anyway, that's today's little video to get you caught up before we're done with this and closed up, and then we'll jump back in when we go to do the floor layout and when we get to doing the actual A-frame part. So anyway, have a good day, folks. Good talking to you.